when one looks at a bill, one has to move away from politics. One has to ask the more important question as to whether or not such a law is relevant and whether or not such a law is necessary. So some bills may have provisions which are favorable to certain parties, some laws may not. But when we look at this bill, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that we require, there is no doubt, we do need a bill like this, but not this bill. Because this bill is a bill which presents itself with so many flaws. This bill is a bill which gives certain departments, especially the police, almost complete power in respect of how these DNA analysis, DNA samples are going to be produced in court, and also to a very great extent, it allows for the minister's decisions in most cases to be final. Now, let me give you a brief outline of what this bill presents. There are two parts to it. When we talk about DNA, we talk about the criminal side of it, and we talk about the non-criminal side of it. Now, all of you all know what the criminal side is, so I'll deal with the non-criminal side first. Examples of non-criminal side is this. Okay, for example, paternity. There are many cases in which issues as to paternity arise. Many people who are married, after very many years, they realize that there's something wrong with the marriage. There are questions which arise in respect of whose child they have, whether or not there has been unfaithfulness and so forth. Now, the Malaysian law, as it stands, is that you cannot go to court and compel anybody to give you a sample. So in an ordinary divorce case, if there are issues which relate to the child, you cannot actually go to court and ask the court to make an order directing one party or both parties or both parents to give DNA samples so that they can see whether or not there's a match. That is a major problem in Malaysia. That's a major problem in Malaysia now. It will be a major problem in the years to come. This bill does not talk about that at all. Completely ignores that. Now, despite the fact that the courts of law in Malaysia, and this is the case of James Edward Pinstead, the Pinstead case, which I raised in Parliament. In that case, Justice J.C. Wara said, he said that the court can't do anything, and he said there's about time that Parliament did something to overcome this problem. Now, despite the fact that this is what the courts are saying, we have people in our draftsman committees who don't even know that this is what kind of change the courts are calling for. So even here, if you start talking about that, the omission here, the fact that they have omitted altogether to even mention this, that in itself is reason enough for them to take the bill back and go and look at it again. Right, that's one part. The other one is in respect of giving samples. Now, a lot of people ask, why? Why do you need to give samples? People take offense and say, no, this is something privacy and all these issues arise. But let me tell you one thing. There are many people who want to give samples. Quite the other way around. Many people say, I want my sample to be there. Why? Because if Malaysia is fine. Malaysia, we don't have these problems. But in other countries, where we have natural disasters, to the extent that people are found in such bad states that you cannot tell who they are. So it is then that the DNA banks come in, where they can just get a piece of whatever is left and analyze. So we have to see it from that way as well. Now recently we had the tsunami, so in future you don't know what else is coming. Maybe an argument which goes in favor of having such a bill, and people say, yes, we want to have a bank, we want to give DNA samples, we want to have a bank. Then we come to the other aspect of it, which is criminal. Criminal, you have a tug of war between the police, the state, and the accused. And the accused person who knows that he has done something wrong, he is going to say, no, I'm not going to give my DNA. Why should I? Why should I give my DNA and let you prove the case? Right? So this is where all these arguments come. And then again, we've got the second part. An accused person who's not guilty. He has the fear that the police go to the scene and they actually plant something there. What does he do? So does this bill take care of all this? Let's look at what the bill talks about generally. The bill speaks about a bank. Now we look at Section 3. Section 3 talks about establishing of a DNA data bank. Now it's interesting to note that the head of this bank, is a person that's going to be appointed under Section 7. And we look at Section 7, it says that he is to be a police officer. So we have a situation where they want the bank to be under the rule or under the control of the police. And there is a special provision here, subsection 3. Section 7.3 says that yes, you have the bank, the head is a police officer, but then 2 chemist officers or 3 chemist officers can join the bank as well. It should be the other way around. We ask simple questions. How long are you going to have a bank, a DNA bank which is under the hands of the police? Why don't you have a system whereby now you start? Establish a system whereby the DNA data bank is actually manned by people from the chemistry department. Because these are chemists who know what's going on. These are people who are in the know about the whole area. Now let's ask the other question that I'm sure you all watch TV, CSI. Now that's not just a movie, right? These are things which are, this is how the criminology and criminal jurisprudence is evolving today. Should we not have a system whereby we move away from having the entire bank under the hands of the police? Should we not now look for alternatives, ways in which you can actually find the bank to be under the hands of perhaps people who just concentrate on crime solving, investigation? And why are we so afraid of the police? Now let me just take you all through the problems with the police. Now if you look at Section 10, and this is interesting. Section 10 says the minister may give the head of the DNA bank directions of the general director, consistent with the provisions of this Act, relating to the performance of the functions and the exercise of the powers of the head. So yes, you have a head of a DNA bank, but he is not really the head, because the head is actually the minister. And it says this, and the head of the DNA data bank shall give effect to such directions. In other words, minister has the ultimate say again. So why do you have a situation whereby the police control it and the minister directs it? And this is another interesting part to look at is this. If you look at section let me just look for that. So there is a section here which talks about how it is samples can be taken for people detained. People detained under the provisions of Article 149 and Article 150 of the Federal Constitution. Now, Article 149 and Article 150 of the Federal Constitution speaks, that's where it is.